but yet they've
That's
kicked
bullshit. I
out
don't believe in
1,000.
religious. Just so you know, I
Yeah,
believe in
yeah,
no religious exemptions for fucking anything on this planet. I'm
yeah,
hardline against religion, and I'm
yeah,
hardline against people that use religion to avoid their civic responsibility. So I
yeah,
just wanted to put that out there
yeah,
to let you
yeah.
continue. Yeah, go ahead.
Fair enough. And me personally, I
You religious?
this is I'm not religious. I'm going to go so far as if anyone's ever read a book called Conversations with God, it's Neil Donald Walsh. This is how I reconcile God, the matrix, collective consciousness, philosophy, the universe, all into one thing. That
Yep.
works very, very well for me because I've struggled all my life with the idea of religion versus
Philosophy.
the idea of God. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I yeah, philosophy, God, whatever you want to call it. That book, Conversations with God, it got me through some really, really dark times in my life. I'm perfectly happy with that.
What
That
is
works
that
for me.
belief system that you have then? Like, apart from the book that you read, because one of the things that I've noticed, and we'll get to some of the people that were
Mhm,
involved in the convoy, and we'll get to some of the
mhm,
fallout in just a second too. But one of the things I really noticed, and I'm sure you did too, the amount of crosses and the amount of people that think Jesus is a vaccine. Now, the amount of
mhm.
people who sat there and prayed, the amount of people who
Yeah.
really like there was you've heard the term and seen the term. You might take offense to the term Christo-fascist. I believe there was a
Mm,
massive, a portion of that movement that is Christo-fascist, that believes in theocracy, that says, hey, you know what? We're here because God's going to deliver us and the end times are coming and we need to be his people. We're the chosen one. That is a massive thread that ran through this group of people, and it
mhm.
collected different cross sections of individuals, right? As it moved
Yeah.
across, it was people that had vested interest, whether
Mhm.
they hated, everybody hated Trudeau, but it was
Yeah.
like, it was the fuck
Yeah.
Trudeau train. But inside that Trudeau train, you had a boxcar full of people who may or may not really appreciate Nazi imagery. You had a
Mhm.
boxcar of people that just really hated Trudeau. You had a boxcar
Yeah.
of people that loved conservative politics. You had a
Yeah.
boxcar of people that didn't want to get vaccinated. Then you had a
Yeah.
boxcar of people who just hated the economy and
Yeah.
believed in this weird freedom that no one can seem to express. In your sentiment, that freedom
Yeah.
to not get vaccinated after being put through the ringer in the military for 25 years,
Mhm.
getting jabbed with a bunch of stuff, and then
Yeah.
saying, fuck you, you signed up for this, go out there. That's a little different in my
Yeah.
mind because
Yeah.
it leads itself to this place that you're at, right? It
Mhm.
formulated this
Yeah.
opinion of this, and I'm getting a better picture of Tom Marazzo as a
Yeah.
result of a guy who's like, nah, you know what? I've been fucked over like 100 times by you guys. Why would this be any different from that perspective? However,
Mhm.
how did and you look at it the way that you look at it,
Mhm.
but like there were a lot of competing groups of assholes that delivered 3 to 4 weeks of PTSD to close to 1 million people in Ottawa that week, right? There
All
were.
right, we're getting into the overlap of okay, we're starting to push away, but yeah, okay. So to answer your question, um, I was we were surrounded by many different religious faiths, not just Christians.
Yep.
We had Muslims there. We had there was I saw Asian people there. I saw every mixed bag of religious backgrounds, creeds, colors, ethnicities, whatever you want to say.
But weren't
That for me,
the majority were like,
I
born
would
again
say
evangelical
I
Christians?
would say the majority that I dealt with on a daily basis, the majority just happened to be Christian. Just but you go out. I mean, we had people from India there, we had people from Asia, we had everybody. We had a lot of Eastern Europeans there. That's one thing that never gets reported. That the number of Eastern Europeans that were
I know.
there was excellent. I loved it because you talk with them and they give you their perspective on what it was like when they came from their Eastern European countries, came to Canada.
Yep.
So for me, it wasn't a religious it wasn't driven by a religion. It was people that were driven by current events that were happening, but for them to get through to find their inner strength to do what they were doing every day, they got through it with their various faith.
Yeah.
So for me, I wasn't.
Imagine how much I love this movement. I hate protests and I hate organized religion. I was
I
stoked.
yeah, I'm not a religious person. I'll put that out there. I'm
All right.
not a religious person.
I'm very happy to hear that, Tom.
Yeah, but I'm absolutely if you read Conversations with God and some of the other sort of philosophy around that, or whatever you think, like that
I'll read it.
reconciles the world for me,
Okay, good.
in the universe. So now let me say this one thing. The one thing about religion that I've always really had an envy of, it's not a jealousy, it's an envy, is that people have their darkest moments in their entire lives. They always had that guiding them, always there, sort of comforting them, like a friend or a hug that they needed in a time of need. As a non-religious person, never really had that. So I just had to rely on logic. So I'm envious of that. They got that spiritual need that they needed in their times. Even Conversations with God was the first time I ever experienced something like that.
Right.
So so when we're in Ottawa, I would say predominantly it was Christians,
Mm-hmm.
and it was their faith that pushed them through day after day after day.